Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far. So today we have a very exciting new product review because quite frankly, we can't keep up. We are overwhelmed. They are coming out our ears. So I'm hopefully here to help you either discount one or count one in. We'll see. So today we are going to be trying out the brand new Kevyn Aucoin I Foundation Balm. What is on my neck? I feel like I've got a really weird scar. Who knows where it came from? It sounded like in lots of ways it was going to be one, very intriguing, something new, something different to all the other foundations, liquid foundations that are coming out. It's from Kevyn Aucoin. I've never tried anything from Kevyn Aucoin before, but I've heard incredible things. I've always wanted to. It sounded right up my street. I was very excited. I immediately jumped straight on Beauty Bay and ordered it the second it came out. And then I saw the swatches and I thought, it's 2019, Kevyn, what you doing? So I did think about not reviewing this. As you guys know, I really do not feel comfortable reviewing foundations on my channel that lots of people aren't going to find a shade in. There are 20 shades, so it's a small number. When I first ordered it, the shade I ordered is shade 10. So I was thinking, I'm in the middle. That's kind of where I always sort of sit. It's where I look, it's where I start when I'm thinking about what shade I'll be. So I thought shade 10 of 20, that sounds about right. When I was ordering it off of the website, they only had those stupid little circle dots that's supposed to tell you what shade you are and a description. Everything seemed okay. Yes, 20 is obviously not a good number, but it didn't necessarily alarm me because a small number doesn't necessarily mean an exclusive shade range. It doesn't necessarily mean a poor spread of shades, but then having seen the swatches, I mean, there's not just one problem here, there's lots of problems. It doesn't go deep enough at all. This is actually the 14th shade of 20, not the 10th, because they have some half numbers. So there's like a 3.5 or a 5.5. So where I thought this was the 10th of 20, it's the 14th of 20. So they're only 6 shades darker than me. Of the dark shades, 2 are very grey looking. So I'm not sure how those are going to work for people. And of the light shades, they're all very similar. A lot of the light to medium to tan shades all look very warm. So I feel like there's just all kinds of gaps in this shade range. It's not a great shade range. However, the reason we're still here today is one of the main reasons I was excited to try this foundation balm is because I figured it sounded a little bit like this bad boy. And it even says on the Kevyn Aucoin website to pick up a shade, a couple of shades darker than your skin tone to use for bronzer or to sculpt your skin, contour or bronzer. And I was like, it might not be a good shade range for a foundation, but it would be a very good shade range for a bronzer. And some of those, that might explain some of those very grey tone looking shades. Now you guys know that I love the Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel. I've hit pan on mine, but it is very light. I can't really use this in my summer tanned skin. As you can see, when you blend it out, it's almost the same shade as my hand, and actually my hand is quite a bit lighter than like my bod. So no good for anybody with any melanin in their skin, no good for anybody who with a tan skin tone. Everybody has been begging for years for more shades of this one. They don't appear to be listening to us. But, and I have been trying, as you guys know, to find an alternative to this one for a long while in a deeper, darker shade. So this, if it is a nice formula, if it goes on the skin nicely, if it blends nicely, if blush and highlight can go on top of it nicely, if it's nice long wearing, it's got a nice finish. The saving grace of that shade range is hopefully going to be that it might actually offer people an alternative to the Chanel who haven't been able to use it because you have deeper skin. Then it's very small. Now actually the amount I'm okay with, it's 0.7 of an ounce, which is obviously less than the 1 ounce we're used to. It's 22.3 grams. Usually a foundation is 30 or 1 fluid ounce. However, I have used this a few times and you just don't use anything. It comes with a brush, which I think for £42, a Kevyn Aucoin foundation and brush, usually Kevyn's brushes are like 40 or 50 pounds. So actually, as a combo deal, the brush and the foundation for 42 is actually, I think, a really good price point. It's not like you're using 3 or 4 pumps like you might a liquid foundation. You're literally touching your brush in and able to cover, you know, your whole face. It's very adaptable. You know, you can use it absolutely sheerly, is that word? Or you can do a full coverage glam like I have today. So I will have all the claims about this foundation on the screen for you. It doesn't have like a wear claim that I can find on his website. It doesn't seem like it says X number of hours. It doesn't even say that it's long wear. So anyway, let's whack this on our face and see how we like it. Like with any foundation, I'm going to be priming my skin with my Tatcha Silk canvas because it's what I know and love, and I know it's not going to play us. I know it works with like every foundation I've ever tried. Here it is in this little pot. It doesn't have any discernible smell that I can smell at all. This is the little brush. It's like a sort of slightly rounded top kabuki, pretty much a flat top, but it's got a slight round to it. A nice dense kabuki. It's perfect size, and I find it works perfectly with this product. A really good quality brush, although it is like a little diddy one. It is a really good brush. Like, you won't need to use a different brush with this, and you can use this with lots of other foundations as well. So I think it is a really good deal as a package. I'm going to give it a little swirl, and you can see it doesn't pick up much product. I just feel like, although this isn't as much as we're used to getting, you know, we're used to getting a fluid ounce with our liquid foundations, and this is obviously not a full ounce, it's a little less. I just don't think you're going to go through it any quicker than you would your average foundation because you use the teeniest amount. The first time I played with this, I was just touching it and there was barely anything on the brush, and yet it was still, you know, doing my whole face. If you want like a bit of a more natural coverage, you can absolutely do that. Do you see how little it picks up? And it just does go a really long way. You can totally tailor the coverage of this. You know, you can specifically add in the places you want where you've got redness, or if you've got melasma like me, you can build there and leave the rest of your face a bit more natural. It is completely tailorable to whatever coverage you want, and it just feels like nothing else really. It feels like I'm just doing nothing. It feels like I'm putting nothing on my skin. There doesn't feel, it feels literally like I'm wiping this like naked brush with nothing on it across my skin. It feels like nothing is going on. It looks like nothing has gone on, yet my skin is obviously, the redness is going, the discoloration is going, but you can't see makeup and you can't feel makeup. It's completely like undetectable. So with a very light, like first initial pass, this is kind of giving me like a, I'd say like a light coverage. So I'm going to build now and see if we can get a bit more of like a medium to full. It's not super glowy, it's pretty matte actually. I think he says it's like a natural finish, but yeah, it definitely starts off pretty matte. I think I thought the word balm was conjuring up this sort of slimy, slippery texture, and it's not that at all. It very much feels like mineral makeup. It feels like I'm applying like a powder foundation, and you can see that's given me a lot more coverage. This is now probably at like a medium to full. I'm going to add a tiny bit more on top of my melasma to see if we can totally cover that, which, yeah, I mean, that's the good thing about this. You can literally dab it on in your problem areas, and that's pretty much totally covered my melasma just by dabbing that extra little bit on top. So when you run your finger in the product, it looks very liquidy and very similar to the Soleil Tan de Chanel like consistency, but as soon as you apply it to your skin, it just literally turns into like feeling and looking like a powder. It is weird. It's definitely a nice shade. It's not too orangey. It's certainly not giving me the orange vibes that some of those swatches were giving me. So here is a like close-up, low light nosy at my face. So you can see it pretty much, I think natural finish is the perfect way to describe it. It's more matte than I generally reach for. It literally feels like nothing is on my skin. It feels the tiniest bit tacky, obviously we've just applied it, so that might calm down a little bit more. But it's like you just can't see any makeup. Like there's no visible makeup on my skin. It's just completely covered and smooth and perfected everything, but you cannot see where like the makeup starts and stops. As a starting point, this is really good. Definitely more matte than I was expecting. I think I thought it was going to be a bit more glowy, but we'll see how it all kind of settles in and how it looks in a couple of hours. But yeah, starting point is very, very smooth, perfected, not going into smile lines, not exaggerating any lines on my forehead, not exaggerating texture. In fact, really concealing and smoothing texture on my troubly chin area and my top lip, like nothing in smile lines at all. Forehead looks really nice and smooth. Just everything looks really perfected, smoothed and lovely. And if this wears well, as we were hoping, this could be an excellent answer to our Chanel Soleil Tanda Chanel problems, because the finish and the feel and the application and everything is very similar to the Chanel, and obviously gives us a lot more shade options. Let's put some concealer on the top and see how this goes. I'm not necessarily anticipating any problems. They do say on the Kevyn Aucoin website that it sort of sets to like a powder finish, so that's why I'm kind of nervous to see if this concealer goes on okay over the top of it, because obviously you wouldn't want to put a liquid concealer on top of like a powder foundation. So yeah, let's see if this goes okay, or whether we need to do concealer first like you would a powder foundation. Okay, so I just used my Estee Lauder Radiant Concealer, the Double Wear Radiant, and then I set it with my Jeffree Star powder, and I've just set under my eyes, my nose, just around my nose, and my chin. If you are new here, I have normal skin with a slightly oily T-zone, especially an oily schnozzle or nose. So everything went on perfectly. I kind of anticipated having like some caking, so I don't put foundation right up under my eyes. I want as little product there as possible, but I did apply foundation up to kind of here and then concealer down to about here. So we have crossed over, there is overlap, and I was really anticipating a problem. I was 100% expecting some caking, expecting some lifting, or just a problem where concealer and foundation met, because it has just got that like powder finish, and there was zero, absolutely nothing. It looks seamless, it looks beautiful, it melted together. I've absolutely no issues whatsoever. It looks freaking perfect. So it's now 10:30, almost 1 minute to go. Hope we make it. That was weird. I've had this foundation on for probably like half an hour. We'll call the starting point at like 10. I've just kind of finished up my makeup, took a flash photo, went and got more coffee. The flash photo looks gorgeous. Everything went on top beautifully. I used my Anastasia Beverly Hills Saddle bronzer. I used the Laura Mercier blush in Fresco, and I used my Amrezy highlight, and everything just went on beautifully. The flash photo looks glorious. I've just been taking a little look in like some natural daylight. The colour, I'm really happy with the colour. Everything just looks so perfected and smooth, and now that everything's settled in, I've got everything on top, it's just looking like the most natural finish. Like it's not as matte as I feel like it started out. I feel like it's settled into the skin more. Obviously you could go in with some setting spray, some Fix Plus if you wanted it to all melt together even more. I don't like to use setting powder or setting spray or anything like that when I'm doing a review, just because I want to see the foundation just perfectly on its own and nothing kind of altering it in any way, so we can all just see the foundation, because we all have different products and different ways that we do our makeup. So I just like to let the foundation do its own thing, you know? So let me just show you really nice and close up. Everything is so smooth. My forehead lines are looking really, really smooth. My smile lines It's settled maybe the tiniest little bit in my smile lines, which, as we all know, is like almost every foundation will do that, but this is really minimal, really, really good in there. Around my chin area is looking really, really good. This is my problem area, lots of fine lines, lots of texture, and it's looking lovely there. The body of my face just looks so smooth and perfected. It's definitely a solid full coverage, I would say, and I could have certainly used more with the brush. So far I feel like it looks really beautiful. This is kind of the sort of half an hour everything's soaked in. It does not feel tacky at all now. It literally feels like skin. It feels like I've got nothing on my face, completely lightweight, can't feel it at all on my skin, and it doesn't feel tacky anymore. It literally feels like I don't have makeup on. There's nothing to feel, no tack, no stick. Nothing is transferring on my hands. I'm gonna kind of experiment with that a bit more today. It's actually like a makeup wipe that's dried out that I was just using to get swatches off earlier. Okay, like literally nothing. So that is a really good sign. I'm gonna play around with that a bit more as the day goes on, see if I notice it on my children's faces, which is what normally happens, see if I notice it on my clothes. At the moment it appears to not really be transferring, which is a win. So I'll be back at about 6 p.m. this evening, which will be giving us a solid 8-hour wear time as a minimum, and fingers crossed, prayers that this foundation is held up, because it's looking so beautiful. It would absolutely be an amazing alternative to the Chanel Soleil Tinted Chanel. Okay, so we are back. What time is it? Let me check. 6:04. So it is a solid past the hour mark wear test for this foundation, and I'm fairly impressed. Here we are, nice and zoomed in, lights, nice and natural. It's got slightly shiny around my nose, but that is actually really good for me. Like, this is where I'm always really shiny at the end of the day. This is actually really good. Just remember that sort of lights and everything reflecting off my face always makes shine look worse on camera than it is in real life, but real minimal bit of glow around my nose here. It's been a warm day here, but it's not been humid, it's not been crazy hot. It's like 25 degrees, and I have been sat on a swimming pool poolside watching my daughter have her swimming lessons, so I guess it's been a little bit humid in there. Nothing extreme as far as weather. It's actually very windy here, so it feels cooler than it is, but yeah, nothing horrendous. But I've been to the park, I've had 2 meals since I saw you last. I've had lots of coffees and drinks and things like that. Nothing, you know, has moved. There's no signs really of like fading. You might just be able to see where I've had sunglasses on here, but other than that, my chin is looking really good. My nose is looking really good, even though it's a little shiny here, like the tip of my nose is still like fully covered in foundation. It hasn't got really, really oily or shiny or anything like that you kind of sometimes expect from this type of formula, that it might be really oily and shiny and glowing at this point in the day, and it's really not. And like, despite the fact that I didn't set it with a powder, so if you have oily skin, I don't think this will be a full not in heaven's chance of it wearing on you, because if you set with powder, I feel like it's done very well on me. It's definitely got a chance on you. As I say, I haven't noticed any transfer throughout the day on myself or my children, nothing, which is quite unusual for foundation. So although it doesn't claim to be transfer proof, it's certainly not one that is like going to be a mess transferring everywhere, moving off your face. I think it's a beautiful foundation. I am actually very impressed by how it's worn, and just very disappointed that there aren't more shades available, because that is just such a shame. As always, whenever we see these terrible shade ranges, that more people would want to buy it and don't have the option. So there you have it. I'd love to know if you've tried this foundation, if you've got a different skin type to me. Please let us know in the comments down below how it's worn on you, how you've got on with it. I think this is going to be a huge hit with mature skin types, because it's completely flexible as far as the coverage you want to achieve with it. It's just really handy with the little brush. You know, you could take it, it works really nicely for touch-ups throughout the day. You know, it's pretty like idiot proof when it comes to correcting mistakes, things like that. It's really useful for, I think, like I said, it's very flattering on fine lines and wrinkles. It's very smoothing. So I think mature skin, textured skin will love it. I can't really think of anybody who is going to hate this, or it's definitely not going to work for, because again, dry skin, it's got hyaluronic acid, it claims to be a hydrating formula, and it certainly doesn't feel dry or heavy on my skin right now, so I feel like it's going to work for lots of skin types. So another reason why it's so disappointing there's not more shades available. If you are wanting to try this in place of a Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel, it's definitely going to be a winning product. I think if that one is too light for you, you can pick up a shade that will work for you as a bronzer or as a contour of this product. I would definitely recommend trying this, because to me, it tailors itself perfectly for a cream bronzer. It would certainly wear nicely, and it's not transferring. Products went on top of it beautifully, it went onto the skin beautifully, so I don't see why you wouldn't have any issues with using it in that way. I'm certainly going to be giving it a try once my Chanel has run out and I need a darker shade of that. I hope you found this review helpful, and I would love to see you in the next video. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.